Alright, we got a Briggs&Stratton powered pressure washer. Looks like it says 5 horse. This type of carburetor, when you see this primer and that, and carburetor attached to the top of the gas tank, there's a diaphragm in them, sorry. And if you got a Briggs&Stratton lawnmower ink like this that surges a lot, it's usually the diaphragm. So to take it off, we're going to pull this screw for the breather. There's a bolt here, one back in there. Sorry about the light. Don't have a bench or ink right now, so we're just going to work away at it and pull it apart. I'll show you how to change this gasket. Well, I call it a gasket. It's a diaphragm. It's the fuel pump for the motor to supply the fuel to the carburetor. Let's take a minute here and get it off. Sorry, camera's shaking. Nothing I can do about it. This little work platform's not really stable. Also, this has been left with fuel from last year. Should be no good. So I'll take it, like I say, I'm going to take the carb off. When I take it off, I'll drain the carburetor. Anytime you get rid of old fuel, you should put it into a container. I know where I live, there's a place you can take, it's a hazardous recycled place. They'll take the old fuel from you, so I just dump it into a container. When I get a bunch of old fuel, I take it down there and they dispose of it for you. Alright, so you got all these springs and linkage on the back. This is just going to wiggle and work its way out. So just wiggle this ahead. Now you can probably see there. Sorry. That disconnects. Gotta watch all these springs. It's just a little hook in there. It plugs down into there for the carburetor linkage. Alright, so when we move some stuff, I'm just going to turn this off. We'll move some stuff around and be right back. Alright, I've just pulled the diaphragm. There's a diaphragm in the gasket. This one goes right on top of the tank. This one goes on top of it. Those little tabs right there, they're little fingers they control. There's passageways that have to open and close to allow the fuel to come in and out. A lot of times those little fingers, call them whatever you want, as the thing gets old, the diaphragm dries out, it starts to they start to lift up and they won't seal and they won't deliver fuel properly. So there's a bunch of screws all the way around the base of this. I'm going to take them out. I don't know why. At one time these Briggs&Strattons had metal carburetors. Quite a few years ago they went to plastic, I guess, like everybody else, to cut cost. Sometimes the problem with these is the plastic carb, the base of it will warp and they'll start drawing air at the side. You won't be able to get them to prime and that. All you can do is replace them. Okay, we've got all the screws out. There's a screen right there. See this? How this is all wrinkled up? That finger's, they're sitting not bad. I'll just pull them down off of here. Not sure if you're in frame, sorry. One of these days I've got a tripod. You want to make sure that this screen is good and clean. Usually give them twists like that, pull it off, and I blow them out with air. There it is. You can see all the wrinkling and distortion in it. It's time for it to go. But these sometimes will bend up like that and not seal properly. There's a little well in there. You got to make sure and get that cleaned out. Anyway, let me just take a second and I'll get rid of this old fuel and I'll be back. Alright? Alright, off camera, to save you the listen to all the racket, I blew out the tank, blew out the screen. Just put the screen back on. I blew out that well part of the tank. Got everything nice and clean. Line that up good with all the holes. Then the gasket sits on top of it. This long part, the pickup, goes down through there. So I'll get them all started. Don't draw them down tight, let's get them all started down and through. Gotta watch you get them in through it and not punch a hole in the diaphragm. So I'm just taking it down and not cranking them down tight. And I'll just kind of crisscross, snug them up. You don't want to go again, you don't want to go overboard because it's just plastic. Here's one thing you got to watch. There's a rubber O-ring in there, and this holds it in. Make sure it's on there. And the tube that it hooks onto, you should remove the carburetor, remove all the top shrouding. There's two bolts. A lot of these, this is the intake. A lot of them where the intake joins the cylinder. Comes loose and they'll suck air there. So I'm just going to put a bit of fuel in this. I like to put some fuel in it before I put it on the machine. And I'll prime it, make sure it's working, make sure the primer's working. This, when it was put away, was still working good. It's just after sitting with fuel all winter, sometimes that'll bugger them up. I decided to take a minute, put a new diaphragm in it when I got it sitting here. Not going to fill it right up, just get enough so it'll pick it up. So in the base of this, the lighting is probably not that great. As you prime it, see the fuel going through, squirting through. So you know the diaphragm's in there correctly, it's picking up fuel. And I'll put it back on here. And when I get it back on, we'll get together again in a minute and we'll fire it up. See you in a minute. I wanted to take a second to mention right here, this is spacer. Goes from here to the motor. That needs to be there. Some of them, this has got this little wraparound aluminum piece, metal piece that holds it. Some of the older lawnmowers didn't have that, so just watch it doesn't fall off and roll away. Alright. Another thing I wanted to mention, this one's good, but anytime, like especially on the lawnmowers, you want to take these apart, you can, this is a foam filter, you can wash it out with gas and just put a little bit of an oil film in it. Put this on right, Joe. Just a little bit of oil in it, it catches the dirt. And this screw here, Don't crank it down tight. It just needs to go in snug. You're just going into aluminum and plastic. Just snug. I think that's what happens to a lot of these, is people start cranking that stuff and it warps them. Next thing you know, the carburetor's garbage. Just going to set this on the floor and we'll fire it up. Anytime you start up a pressure washer, you should have water hooked up to it. Run a bit of water through it with the wand. Hold the trigger. Get all the air out of the system, like, you know, all the hoses hooked up before you start it. Pull the trigger, run a bunch of water through, get the air out of it, and then start up. You should never run it any length of time with no water in the system. It's really hard on the pump. It overheats them. It can burn them out. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, we'll give her a whirl here. She should fire up. I checked the oil. Alrighty, I call it success. If you leave them in an unheated building, there's a type of antifreeze you can blow through the pump, or you can take an air hose and blow all the water out of the pump. Best to have these pressure washers stored in where it's warm so they don't freeze up in the winter. That destroys a lot of these. Anyway, thanks for coming along on the diaphragm change, and hopefully find something a little better to fix up next time. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.